Welcome back to my channel. It is Candace with a K here, where I will be giving my book review of The Thing About Home by Rhonda McKnight. I absolutely love this one. If you are interested in hearing my opinions, please keep watching. I also wanted to share these cool bookmarks that I got from Inspire the Tribe. RIP Takeoff, so that's why I had to get this one. Do it look like I lost my place in this book? Because do it look like I was left off bad and bougie? You know Beyonce is my girl. I make this book look so good because I'm in that hoe, okay? And then, of course, Solange, I read it away because Cranes in the Sky is one of the greatest songs ever invented or created or made, whichever. So, yes, go ahead and get your bookmarks from Inspire the Tribe. So before I get into the book review and reveal any spoilers, I'm going to read the blurb on the back of the book so you just get a little idea of what the book is about, and then we'll really get into it. It's not a place, it's a feeling. Casey Black needs an escape. When her picture-perfect vow renewal ceremony ends in her being left at the altar, the former model turned social media influencer has a new fame, the kind she never wanted. An embarrassing viral video has cost her millions of followers, and her 7-year marriage is over. With her personal and business lives in shambles, Casey runs from New York City to South Carolina's Low Country, hoping to find long-lost family who can give her more answers about her past than her controlling mom/manager has ever been willing to share. What Casey doesn't expect is a postcard-worthy property on a 300-acre farm, history, culture, and a love of sweet tea. She spends her days caring for the land and her nights cooking much-needed Southern comfort foods. She also meets Nigel, the handsome farm manager, whose friendship has become everything she's never had. And then there are the secrets her mother can no longer hide. Through the pages of her great-grandmother's journals, Casey discovers her roots run deeper than the Low Country soil. She learns she has people, a home, a legacy to uphold, and a great new love story, if only she is brave enough to leave her old life behind. Off of the cover alone, what we just see is a woman on a bike on a bunch of farmland. I didn't really think much of it because it really doesn't talk a lot about the contents of the book based off of simply the cover. The cover is very just atypical, right? But once you get into it, it really starts off with a bang, in which we meet Casey, who we come to know is this beauty fashion blogger, influencer who has over 1 million followers. She chronicles all aspects of her life, preaching women's empowerment, you do you, real girl's girl. And she is having her 7-year renewal to her husband, and he tells her minutes before the ceremony that he can't do this. Which, gut-wrenching. You've been with someone for 7 years, and then here we go trying to renew our love for one another, and you tell me you can't do it. She said the signs were there where she should have been, she should have known that he wasn't really invested anymore. But she was so caught up in her social media persona and her social media presence. And I think that is such an interesting perspective to take in a book just on that alone, because everybody is now trying to push content. I'm going to be a content creator. I'm going to do this, that, and the third. But you don't realize that you can be a very private person and still have a platform in which you can publicize your opinions, your thoughts, and nobody can know anything about you. I think people really get lost in the sauce when it comes to this social media stuff. And as somebody who is in it, but not deep in the trenches, I'm able to disassociate. So one part of this book that I really liked was that despite having this momager, she was really had a real fixation on understanding her father's side. As somebody who has no connection whatsoever to their father's side, I am empathetic to that, not necessarily saying that that's something that I want to do, but I understand when people feel as though that there's a part of them that they just don't know. And I thought that was a really cool aspect. So she travels down to South Carolina, where she kind of then embodies the culture there. I think for Casey, she really is lost because she's a city girl. To go to the South and just become a country girl is crazy. Because even when I take my trips to the South, I'm like, it's time to get back to the city. Another interesting part of this book that isn't harped on too much because it's not the story, but I loved that it was placed in this story, is how the family had to use their passing cousin in order to acquire all this property. So of course we're talking about relatives that are coming fresh off of slavery, who are still adjusting and learning to not saying massa so-and-so. Like they're still, you know, making that switch from massa so-and-so to Mr. or Mrs. or what have you. They had to rely on their passing cousin in order to get the land to then hand the deed off to them. Not that they weren't able to financially do it, but simply based off of the complexion of their skin, they weren't able to acquire all of this land. I think that is so interesting because I've just kind of dabbled into some distant family history of them passing and how that is how they increase their upward mobility. I think the one writing technique of interweaving the grandmother's journal, and it really wasn't the grandmother's journal, it was more so the grandmother's perspective with the perspective or narration of Casey's story, was so well done, and it allowed us to see the ways in which not only the tradition and culture passed through the generation, but just how women had to navigate simple things like Odessa's husband going away for work and her being nervous that he wasn't going to return home because at the time Black men were being lynched, and she just was on that nervous journey of hoping for her family to return. I thought that was just so well done. There is a quote in this book that I absolutely loved, and it reads, please do things I couldn't. The women before you could only dream, but I know they hoped for a better day for their daughters and all the women down their family line. Do me and them the honor of living your dreams so that our sacrifices will be the seed that has fallen on good ground. And so that was a letter that Odessa's mother had given to her. And so what we see in the book is that Casey is really fighting to live her own dream. She stumbled into influencing because she was a model, pushed on her by her mother, and then became this influencer when that really wasn't her judge. She wanted to be a photographer. And so now living in the country helped her revitalize that dream. I think it's some mess too in here because Casey's mom allegedly was sleeping around with the brothers, or that's how they felt, and ultimately led to Casey's father's and uncle's demise. So there's a little bit of family tension, which, you know, as you read it, you'll come to have your own opinions. I don't think that Casey's father's paternity should be in question, but you may have other feelings. I think the story really just harps on what every Black American's family history is probably like, where we have escaped north because the Great Migration happened and all of our roots are still in the South. So I think that is why I enjoyed this one so much. It was such a simple, easy read. I could see, as I always share, the adaptation to screen. I think this will be a good one because I also loved the love aspect of it. Nigel sounded like he was born. So I hope that's the case. I have the book linked down in the description box for you so that you can go ahead and get your copy now. And I will be sure to see you in my next video because you're going to hit that subscribe button. And you're going to follow Candace with the K Reads, where I post all things books. All right, so I'll see you next time. Peace.